here, we have mentioned several times before that it's a national hospital, one of the largest in East and Central Africa. And when you're having issues such as this, such as the staff being overworked and then understaffed at the same time, and procedures which should be basic not being followed, as much as she talks about her being followed or being hit and someone trying to take, trying to attack her, she has to also look in terms of what is she over and her department. As much as she's saying that she's allegedly being attacked, what about her reputation in terms of what she's pushing for, what she's following? Because it's unfortunate that a lot of times in Kenya, we like to blame games. We never take full responsibility that, yes, there are issues, yes, things should have been done. And the fact that you sit on that seat, the blame will come to you.
Absolutely.
We see it in developed countries where...
It's the price of leadership.
Yes, when an issue happens within your department, you are the first one to fall. In fact, you don't wait to be fired or terminated. You actually step aside and allow different institutions to follow through with investigations, and then you're answerable to those issues.
All right, Bernard, on the 4-point agenda for Jubilee, health is one of them. Of course, this is an opportunity again to overhaul the whole system.
Yeah, there's need for overhauling the whole system, especially the health department. But what happened at KNH is generally wrong, and somebody must take responsibility. But in Kenya, as Nerima has indicated, we always have this blame game that, something happens, then it's you start throwing the ball all over. So the suspension of those who are involved, especially those are the key areas at the police level, to me was in order, because you can't investigate something when people are still in the office. These people need to step aside and go find out what were the really reasons. Then if they are vindicated, they can come back to their position. Stepping aside does not mean you have been sacked. You can go, then after investigations, you come back. And since health system is devolved, although we have some areas that are still being held by the national government, we hope that the county government will invest a lot of resources in ensuring that the systems are working at the county levels. We have had complaints of, people being, services not being available in most of the hospitals within the counties, doctors not being paid, nurses not being paid, facilities lacking, those kind of things. So I think the county governments should invest more in the health to support the national government's agenda for ensuring universal access to health care.
All right, and well, let's now look at what's making headlines before we wind up. And we'll start off with the Standard. And the Standard does have Wetangula dumped in NASA fallout. Just in case you were not with us as we were going through this, because this was one of the stories that we started off with, where Wetangula basically being dumped by NASA in the fallout. And this is to do with the fact that ODM have come out and said since they have the numbers rather in the Senate, then they need to have their own as part of the minority leader. But there you go. We also have the same headline on The Nation, the fallout of NASA. And as it's expected, this is something that possibly would have been expected. And maybe at this point, we could even look at the cartoon on The Nation, I believe it is, because it gives us a good description, or rather a good picture of what is happening in NASA. And maybe it reminds me of the statement that was made by the president some time ago, ya kukula nyama. So it looks like there has been somebody who's been invited to the dining table there. But there are the 3 principles. Nerima, your thoughts on this cartoon?
Oh my goodness, our cartoonists are incredibly talented.
On point, eh?
They are on point. And the very basic picture, we had talked about this a few days ago. If you're not on the table, you're in the menu.
You're on the menu.
The fact that they are not even invited, and then they look like they are begging. The fact that they are kneeling and they want to beg.
Mr. President.
It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
This actually depicts what Kalonzo has been talking about, because Kalonzo in the past few days has been insisting that they want to meet the president to hear his part of the story. But from the unfoldings and what is happening now, I don't see or I don't envision a situation where the president will be meeting the three principles. So they should just forget about the Jubilee thing, forget about NASA, and strengthen their parties.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait and see. Like we mentioned, the weekend is likely to be very active in terms of politics. We'll wait and see what statements are going to be coming out. And that picture right there, I think, just describes Wetangula to a T on what is going on. But the headline on the Star is 9 dead, chaos as heavy rains strike the country. And the meteorological department actually did say that these rains were going to happen, and we're expecting them to happen till the end of the week. Well, we are towards the end of the week, but that could be into the weekend. And of course, planning is an issue that we have had. Let's look at the cartoon on the Star, if we can, before we wind up. And it is right there. We have Mike Sonko with Noah's sheep, as it were, and the urgent unclogging that Nairobi needs. Okay, it seems to have played one on us, but we've seen it, Sonko there basically, and the promises that he made, that he was first of all going to make Nairobi one of the cities that will be remembered, but we are remembering it for the wrong reasons.
Yes, we are.
And Sonko seems to have been quite quiet of late.
Oh, there are a lot of problems.
That have kept him quiet.
Yes, but I also saw, on Twitter where he had put a time for you to contact him, and he had put his cell phone number, and he had asked if you have any issues or even solutions to contact him within certain periods of the morning. So you can see that he's trying to stretch out to the public to basically hear them, but Nairobians are at a point where they want to see solutions. They don't want the burnt-out talk anymore. I find it interesting that they have drawn him in a diaper, though. In a diaper?
And yes, well, it probably because maybe in terms of whatever he had promised, and remember he had given us 100 days, he was going to have done several things. But
Mike, Nairobi seems to be too huge for Sonko, as in, he's just, he's still in that campaign mode. He's trying to tell people that this is what we are going to do, this is what we are supposed to do, instead of sitting down and fixing what has been ailing Nairobi. He's talking about basic things, repairing roads, taking selfies as repairing of roads is going on. We didn't expect that from a governor.
Nairobi.
We need things to be fixed. We need proper planning, redesigning, coming up with the things that will make Nairobi a better city. Issues of transport is a huge crisis. You don't go fighting hawkers and, running up and down and saying you are cleaning Nairobi. So we expect much as citizens of Nairobi. We expect much from Mike Sonko.
Thank you very much, Bernard Wakoli and Nerima Wako Ojiwa, for joining us this week, actually, to review the stories. Thank you so much, and wishing you a great weekend. Keep safe.